The task force is looking at their most tricky blacklister case yet, that of their longtime colleague, Raymond Reddington. He is on the run after shutting down the task force to protect the agents, and Congressman Hudson and his FBI right-hand man, Agent Nixon, know that with every passing second, he's slipping away. After learning that Demve tipped off Reddington, he was arrested, and while he was being transferred to headquarters for further questioning, Red arrived in a black van and pulled Demve from the wreckage. Despite Red's insistence, Demve tells Reddington that he isn't going with him as an infuriated Hudson grabs an FBI agent's gun. Hudson points it at Demve, prompting Red's men to draw their firearms. Wrestler snaps out of it and exits the vehicle, encouraging Red's men to back down. A shaky-handed Hudson fires his gun. Demve falls after Hudson's bullet strikes him in the neck. Without missing a beat, Red shoots Hudson dead and shoots Wrestler 3 times in the bulletproof vest. Red grabs Demve and throws him into his getaway as Wrestler begins to recover. The closest hospital nearby the crash is a nursing home, so Reddington hurries a dying Demve there. Reddington informs the nurse that Demve urgently needs a blood transfusion since he is losing a lot of blood quickly. Reddington offers to help right away because they are a blood match and the home doesn't have a lot of blood available. In a panic, Reddington orders the nurse to hook them up now, and she unhappily complies. Wrestler informs the task force of the consequences of Demve's arrest. Nixon is upset, but everyone is heartbroken. Cooper urges Nixon to remain calm, but the feeling of insecurity is raging in full force. Despite Wrestler and other FBI witnesses confirming Demve's efforts to calm the situation, Nixon tells Cooper he is now coming for all the task force agents. Cooper even lost his composure and went physical with Nixon. It was too much for all of them. Even though the task force believe that Reddington is not someone that can be captured, unless he himself wanted to be captured, the task force wanted their last job to be capturing Reddington. Demve, on the other hand, warned them that Reddington might choose death than capture. He said Red was at peace with death. He wouldn't mind if he died tomorrow. He didn't even mind being on the run again. Red was someone at peace. Because of the death of his good friend Hudson, Nixon begins to doubt Sia and Herbie's information after they receive a tip about Demve's whereabouts at a nursing facility. When Cooper and Wrestler arrive at the elderly home, they find Demve undergoing surgery. Demve narrowly survived, the nurses informed him, and they provided information about the person who brought him in. The nurse replies that she is unsure of his identity or whereabouts, but she hopes he is getting some rest, because she thinks he doesn't look well. The nurse explains that despite Reddington being a compatible donor for Demve's blood transfusion, he shouldn't be a donor in a direct transfer. She reveals that Reddington was displaying worrisome symptoms like shortness of breath and a lack of oxygenation. Remember when Reddington was terminally ill a few seasons ago on the Blacklist? It seems as though Reddington's sacrificial move has endangered his own health. Despite the nurse telling Reddington that he needed to go to the hospital, he refused and continued with his travel plans. Both Reddington and the task force's investigation are having difficulties. Nixon expresses his outright disapproval of Reddington for his part in the death of Hudson, and he also admits that he has no plans to use handcuffs to subdue Reddington because he will kill him at sight. He said he will kill Reddington knowing Sia and Herbie can hear him. Like Reddington murdered Hudson, Nixon plans to kill Reddington. Both Nixon and the task force agreed that Arthur Hudson was among the good guys, but Wrestler thinks it was a huge mistake for Hudson to pull a gun at someone like Reddington, even if he is a congressman. Reddington himself did not want to shoot Hudson, but Hudson shooting Demve left Reddington with no choice but to shoot back and save Demve's life before it's too late. Herbie realizes this race to find Reddington has evolved from a deliverance of justice to a sinister manhunt. He loves Reddington, and he was there because of Reddington. Knowing the authorities have no plan that includes Reddington surviving this, Herbie jumps the ship. He urges Sia to consider her role in the search for Reddington, too. We see Reddington asleep and being cared for by a woman we later learn is named Angela. Reddington wakes up to realize he slept for a very long time. While talking with Angela, Reddington attempts to smell some nearby orange blossoms, which causes him to cough up blood. As Reddington stares at his tissue with frustration, Angela suggests he sleep more. But Reddington explains that he is going for a walk into town. Reddington has gone to Spain and is hiding in the quiet village of Carmono, which is about an hour's drive from Seville. Reddington is seen slowly exploring the crowded marketplace while silently looking at a couple watermelons. Reddington isn't moving with the usual vigor, he is going slowly and shakily. Reddington informs the vendor that he wants to buy watermelons but has no energy to carry them home, so he arranges for a delivery. Reddington calls Agnes from the villa, intending to leave her a voicemail, but is delighted to hear her answer. Agnes raises concerns about boy issues at school, which causes Reddington to offer some advice. Agnes lovingly told Reddington that he is being such a mom. After searching Reddington's New York City hideout and stating that nothing had been taken, Sia remembers that something very valuable was taken, the recovered horns of the Miura bullilero, which killed the renowned Spanish bullfighter Manolete. Reddington described the bullfighter in great detail, describing him as a man who found it easier to risk his life than live a life without risk. Sia remembers Reddington's description. The task force determines that Reddington likely took the horns to bring them back to their place of origin. Ressler immediately boards a flight for Spain. Ressler shows up at Reddington's house. Reddington cheerfully phones Dembe to meet up with him and check in on him, pretending that they are not in the midst of his global manhunt. Dembe appreciates Reddington's life-saving efforts, but Reddington dismisses the thanks. Reddington can't even keep track of every time Dembe and Reddington have saved each other, so it's no big deal. Ressler is conversing with Angela downstairs, where he appears to be at Reddington's door. Dembe inquires about Reddington's condition as Angela reluctantly grants Ressler permission to search the villa. Reddington pretends the call is lost as the situation becomes uncomfortable for him. When Ressler enters a kitchen, he finds it empty. When Reddington hears from Angela that someone came to the villa looking for him, he understands that the task force is progressing faster than he anticipated. Dembe receives an update from Cooper. Dembe is sacked from the FBI despite the FBI's decision not to charge him for aiding Reddington's escape. Cooper is angry at the outcome, but Dembe says he is okay with it. He said that even when he was shot in the neck and thought that he was dying, he was content with death, thanks to his numerous adventures with Reddington. Dembe says Reddington is such an unstoppable force due to his outlook on death, inspired by a poem by Dylan Thomas. He believes that because death is inevitable, it lacks significance, and there is no point worrying about it. Dembe has always admired Reddington's refusal to surrender quietly. His decision to live passionately and focus on the little things in life that are not inevitable, such as love, laughter, and rage, is why he's such a mythic man. Reddington tells Angela that he is leaving. Meanwhile, Ressler learns from a merchant that delivered watermelons to Raymond that Reddington is staying at the property hidden behind the villa's main guest house, which explains why Ressler missed him earlier. Ressler returns to the villa, and Angela admits that Reddington was there but left. Ressler calls the authorities to update them on his progress, jumping in a helicopter to search for Reddington from the skies. Reddington's contemplative walk is interrupted once he crosses paths with a massive bull standing in a field. Reddington is amazed by the creature, slowly approaching the bull with wonder. Just like the infamous Miyuran bull Ilero, the bull facing Reddington is brimming with rage. Instead of diffusing the situation, Reddington stands his ground, even as the bull charges at him furiously. He has given up on life and embraced death. After spotting something strange in a field from the sky, Ressler lands the helicopter to find Reddington's dead body lying in a heap. Very shocked, Ressler calls Cooper, noticing the bull responsible for the ghastly death grazing nearby. Ressler informs Harold that he has found Reddington. Ressler notices Reddington's fedora in the grass nearby and places the iconic hat over Reddington's head with respect. With that, the Blacklist ended with Reddington's poetic death. The concierge of crime, the world's most wanted criminal who lived a life full of adventure, Raymond Reddington, was killed by a raging bull before anyone could get to him, and he was so content with that. He lived in his own way by his terms, and also died his own way the way he liked. Just like Raymond Reddington once said, death must be so beautiful. To lie in the soft brown earth with the grasses waving over one's head. To be at peace. I welcome that one day. Now after 10 seasons and over 200 episodes, The Blacklist has officially come to an end.